Now, joining us today to help us celebrate 25 years of national netball in Aotearoa is a person we haven't seen for a while and we have definitely missed. Tactix defender Jane Watson is with us today. Kia ora, Jane, and welcome to the show.
Kia ora, thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Jane, it has been a little bit weird not seeing you out on court this year, but albeit for a beautiful, beautiful reason. You're, going to be having bubs soon. So we'll start off with that. How has pregnancy been treating you?
Yeah, it's actually been, I think I've been pretty lucky to be honest. There was definitely a few weeks from about very early on, like weeks 5 to 8, that I was very nauseous and yeah, it wasn't very fun at all. But I'd actually just had ankle surgery, so I kind of got away with not actually having to do too much, which was really nice. But yeah, I think I've been pretty lucky and everything seems to be going smoothly so far, touch wood.
Have you missed it? Like, has it been nice? It's actually been quite nice to have a break, or have you been like, oh, I just wish I was on court?
I think at the start I was very much, yeah, missing it and a little bit more frustrated, I'd say more than anything. And just even when I was going to trainings and I wasn't in any lines and I was like, what the hell, what's going on sort of thing. But I think, yeah, I've definitely accepted it now and I have for a while now and it has been nice. It's been quite a cool change. And yeah, I think the experience of just actually being pregnant and yeah, everything that comes with it is really exciting. So no, I'm enjoying it.
Jane, if we rewind back to when you announced your pregnancy, it was, within a year of a Commonwealth Games year. Was this something that was planned, or did you think that you could perhaps get the baby out and get back to Comm Games? Or when you announced it, was it a big surprise for you and your partner?
Well, we'd actually tried previous a little bit sooner. And I think if that pregnancy had gone through, then I might have been able to, yeah, timing would have been a little bit different and it would have, I guess, worked. But we're very grateful for, yeah, even being able to be pregnant now. So we're just going with it. I think once I've already accepted that, I'm not going to play Comm Games, which is fine. Yeah, life is bigger than netball at times. So that's all right. I'm okay with it. Yeah.
Good on you, Jane. Look, how have you been still involved with the Tactix, if at all? I feel like we kind of saw you, in the back benches at the beginning of the season. Not so much these days. Obviously, pregnancy is moving forward steadily for you. But how much involvement are you still having with the Tactix?
Yeah, if I'm around when the girls have got a home game, I'll definitely go and support them. I try to get to one training a week if I can, just to keep in touch. I'm still training myself, so it's quite nice to be able to train with the girls, even though I'm not quite doing as much as they are, of course. But just keeping involved and keeping in touch has been really nice. And Tactix have allowed me to do that, which is really cool from their end.
Jane, it hasn't been smooth sailing for the Tactix this season. You're possibly the big change that's not there from the 7 from last year. So, I know COVID's been a challenge, but what do you think it is that's just holding the Tactix back at the moment from getting those wins, which you guys got last year and made it all the way to the final?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there are so many of the girls that were there last year, and I think they've still, they've got amazing potential. And I don't think one player can actually make too much of a change because it is such a team sport. It is, I guess, still early days as well. They've only had, I don't know, 4 or 5 games. So I don't know. It's hard to say when you're also not in the environment and not actually playing. Just to see the dynamic and what's working. So yeah, it's hard to say, but fingers crossed that they can get a few wins over the line and go all the way.
It's been such a challenging year for a lot of players, but you look at the Tactix side, and as Adine said, there was really just your change in the back defensively, but you pull you out in terms of your leadership. It sort of did leave a big gap. Has Kimiora Poi, who's picked up the captaincy for the Tactix. Has she given you the odd phone call and sort of wanting to sort of soak up some of the knowledge that you've had?
I've talked to Kimmy a little bit, mainly at the start, but she's actually very, what's the word? I think she is the right person for the job because I think she is very hardworking and leads by example. She may not be hugely experienced, but she's also got experience around her. But I think her own drive and passion is enough to I guess, lead by example and lead the team all the way.
Well, much like yourself, Jane, we are hoping, all the best for the Tactix moving ahead. But right now we are celebrating 25 years of national netball in Aotearoa, and you have been named as one of the top 25, which I feel is a no-brainer. But do you think back at the part you have played for domestic netball in New Zealand?
Yeah, when that sort of came out, I honestly was very surprised to see my name on there because I guess, I don't know, I've been playing for maybe 10 or so years, but I feel like there's just been so many players that can make that list and should make that list, but obviously you can only choose so many. But yeah, I guess I've been with the Steel and the Tactix. So over those times, it's been, lots of challenges, but really exciting. And I think the competition is still really strong in New Zealand.
What's it like thinking back to when you started compared to now? Do you feel like there's been this massive change during that time, or even looking back further when, it started 25 years ago? Like, what's the biggest change that you've noticed?
The biggest change, good question. Well, definitely not playing Australia is different. But I think that's also strengthened us as a country. I think it has gotten very physical, but I think, it's funny because when you start off, you're so naive and you just, everything's new and exciting and fresh. And I guess it's about finding ways about keeping that excitement and that passion and that drive to keep playing for so long. Yeah. Probably doesn't answer any of the questions. But.
If you look at those changes that Adine mentioned, for you started with the Tactix, you made the shift down to the Steel. Can you remember a point in your career where you kind of things just clicked for you? Because you'd been around provincially for a while, and then suddenly you made the Ferns, and then suddenly, you were one of our best defenders ever. Can you think of a time when you sort of everything clicked for you as a player?
Oh, yeah, look, I think when I did leave the Tactix, because in sport, obviously, man, you go through some ups and downs, and at that point, the Tactix didn't want me, which was fine. I obviously wasn't ready, or the environment wasn't right for me. But yeah, I was super grateful that I got down to the Steel. I think that being down there in that environment, with different people, different coaches, really did work well for me, and it put me out of my comfort zone, and it made me, I don't know, it just made me a better person, but also a better trainer. Training years is a huge thing as well, just more experience, more competition potentially. But yeah, I'd say moving down there was definitely the right thing for me.
Seems to be the right thing for most players when they get down to Steel territory.
In the fortress. Jane, it's been, as you said, like a decade or thereabouts, a decade of playing domestic netball. Is there a game that sticks out for you? Or, I mean, sometimes when we ask, to talk about a debut, players can't remember their debut. Is that the same for you, or is there a game that sticks out?
Yeah, I honestly can't remember my debut. I know it was injury cover for the Tactix, but yeah, God knows when and who against and whatever. But yeah, I've actually got two games, probably with the Steel when we actually won the comp. I can't even remember what year it is, to be honest. But then there was also one more game where the Steel come up and played the Tactix at home. And I know when I was playing for the Steel, we bet the Tactix, I think, by like 50 goals. It was like 80 You guys can do the maths.
50.
But yeah, it was a massive number, so that was a very cool game to play. Actually, one more pops into my head while I'm thinking, and that was after we had the Steel Girls had the accident in the van, and we had quite a few players out, and we probably shouldn't have won that game, but we won it, and it was pretty cool feeling. I guess the heart and the determination that we showed as the Steel, and it was probably a very memorable game.
I think I remember that IV that we did afterwards at the end of that match, and just the emotion that you showed, just clearly, you really expressed what your team had been through in that moment. So I can remember that too.
Yeah,
that's cool. That game as well. It's funny how different one sticks in your mind. If we're talking about memories still, we've been very fortunate in New Zealand to have so many strong defenders. We spoke to Linda Wagner a few weeks ago. So when you were little, at the start of those 25 years, you were probably about 10, probably younger actually. Oh my gosh, you're probably about 5. Was there someone that you used to look to? Was it the Bernice Mene? Because you've mixed it up. You've played goal defence, you played goal keep, who did you used to watch and be, or it could be someone from Aussie, I just want to be like them? And don't say Liz Ellis.
No, do you know I'm actually the worst person in the world to ask this question to. I'm very much a netball player, not so much a netball watcher. So for me, actually, when I was young, I can't say I watched a huge amount of netball, but I do remember, and I think it was because I got a coaching session by Wilhelmina Davu, and so she's always stuck in my head as somebody who I would look up to. But yeah, as far as I have to admit, I was terrible at watching netball when I was younger.
That's okay. So there's probably a few that could admit to that. I was never very good.
We didn't used to watch either, did we, Annie? Because it wasn't on TV.
Yeah,
that's true.
Watching in the ANZ Premiership this year, Jane, are there any defenders that have really sort of caught your eye?
I think Ali Timu definitely, she's, I guess having Scar in front of her too would help a lot, but she's definitely standing out. I think Kelly Jury is also doing pretty nicely herself, and yeah, they would be people that I guess are standing up a bit more than they have. Yeah.
Finally, before we let you go, Jane, I know it'd be unfair to ask you who you think is going to win the competition. So what we're going to ask you is, who do you see in the grand final?
Oh my, what a question.
She doesn't know because she hasn't been watching any netball.
I actually have been watching some. I do want Tactix and Stars.
Oh.
But then I don't know, because obviously Mystics and the Steel have been going really well.
So everybody.
Yeah, it's a good 4 that you've just put out.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I knew it would be an unfair question to ask you, Jane. You did well. Look, Jane, thank you so much for joining us, and all the very best with Bubs coming just around the corner.
Yeah, good luck.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.